The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
This is the Inferno Podcast. It's the official podcast of UAB Athletics. Blazer fans, this is the place every week for an inside look into UAB Athletics. This episode is brought to you by Pearl River Resort.
Welcome back to the Inferno Podcast, your official podcast of UAB Athletics. As always, we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort. I'm Madison Page, and today's episode rundown is going to be brought to you by Legacy Credit Union, the official credit union of UAB Athletics. It's Season 3, Episode 7, and we have some great things ahead of us. I'm joined to us today by men's basketball. Our Coach's Corner is going to be Coach Cross. He's going to be talking about the philosophy of this team and what defense truly means to him. Not far behind them is going to be Salim London. He's going to be our Blazer of the Week. We're going to dig a little bit deeper onto who Salim actually is as an athlete. Softball looks to kick off their home season with the Green and Gold Classic. Baseball had a huge upset over Florida, and they look to continue this dominance as they play this weekend at home. As always, follow the Inferno Podcast on YouTube for full episodes and stay up to date with our TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And also stay tuned with our websites. Don't go too far because I'll be joined with our Coach's Corner. Welcome back to our Coach's Corner. Today we're joined by Coach Cross. Coach Cross, how are we doing today?
We're doing well, ending the season here and with 5 games to go, just trying to rally the troops here. We're dealing with some injuries right now, playing with a shortened bench, and obviously we've had our struggles at home, but we've played really well on the road, so coming off this Tulane loss yesterday, we got 2 road games this week at Temple on Wednesday and at Memphis on Sunday. So we gotta continue to scratch and claw and try to show some resilience here down the stretch.
Yeah, we're down the stretch of the season. We're towards the middle of it right now. What are some things that you're looking at in film that you're seeing that this team is lacking?
It's no secret our perimeter shooting has been an issue for us all year. I thought yesterday against Tulane, they kind of did to us what we did to Tulsa on Wednesday. I thought their zone really caused us to play stagnant. We didn't finish around the rim early in the game, and then we kind of settled for jump shots late and just got real stagnant, man. We didn't move the ball. We didn't finish around the basket. We missed some critical free throws, and just offensively, not a very good performance. We had one of our better defensive performances of the year. We held them to 19 points in the second half, and when you do that at home, you should come away with a win. But we didn't get it done, so we just got to regroup, keep fighting. The league race is still very much up for grabs. South Florida's kind of separating themselves from the rest of the pack, but we're right there in the hunt. We got to play well these last 5 games and leading into the conference tournament.
I want to talk a little bit about defense because you're a big defensive guy. What is your philosophy when it comes to defense, and what do you preach on to these kids?
Well, Coach Kennedy really likes to be disruptive. We like to try to break people's rhythm. So we change defenses a lot. We use multiple defenses. We've really emphasized this year because we got a lack of size at the rim, trying to keep the ball in front of us, force people to shoot perimeter jump shots, contested perimeter jump shots, and then rebound the ball off our glass. So irregardless if we're in a zone, a matchup, man-to-man, that is kind of our point of emphasis this year to, protect our paint. We don't have a lot of rim protection like we've had in the past. The past 2 years we had Yaxel Lindeborg, who led the league in block shots. Prior to that, we had Trey Jemison, who was a presence in the paint. We don't have that this year. So this team's constructed a little differently. So that's kind of been our point of emphasis in whatever we do. Contain dribble penetration, keep the ball out of the paint, contest shots, and then finish with a defensive rebound.
So I want to talk a little bit about the values that you have for this team. When you're building a team and you don't have those key players, what are some values that you're continuing to preach onto these kids and some values that you feel like are important to better put towards these games?
Well, we need our guys to play with some toughness. We're outmanned right now. We're undersized. So we got to play with toughness. We got to play with grit. We got to win the key moments of games. We call them the moments of truth. We've done it on the road, which has been crazy. We just have not won those moments of truth at home. Even yesterday it was a tie game. 5 minutes to go, we give up a big three, and then we just can't capitalize on the other end. And had the ball, several times late in the game. We got to win those moments of truth. We got to finish plays around the rim. We got to make our free throws. We got to knock down more open shots. And if you don't do that, unfortunately, you're going to come out on the negative side.
What are you implementing right now in practice that's going to help you guys reach that goal?
Well, we're really limited on our numbers. We've got several guys out with injuries right now, so practice is really a lot of, just dummy work, trying to execute our offense, trying to get our guys to really execute the game plan defensively. We can't really go very hard right now as far as bone on bone, a lot of live action in practice just because we're down numbers. So just trying to get them to execute, trying to get them to play with confidence, try to get them to play with some toughness, play with some grit. We obviously got to be careful about wear and tear on their bodies because we're playing, guys some heavy minutes right now.
How do you implement without having those wear and tear on the bodies? Because you need to continue to go hard as you're in this part of the season because you don't have time, you don't have the bodies to lose. What are you doing in order to push that and make it more game-like and aggressive without hurting your players?
Well, you just gotta, you gotta go for shorter stretches. We're not able to go as long right now. Doing a lot in the film room, trying to keep them sharp mentally more than anything, because the physical wear and tear right now, late in the season. We got 2 games this week. The good thing is we play Wednesday, Sunday, and then we got an entire week. We don't have a game until the following Sunday, so we'll have a little time to rest and recover. We should get these guys back healthy. Ahmad broke his hand the other day, so he'll be out for a few weeks. But I would expect to get Jacob Martin and Kyron Lindsey back here at some point. So, as we go down the home stretch and head into the conference tournament, hopefully we'll be back to full strength.
What do you see those player-led conversations looking like with these losses happening right now, even with the big wins? What are these conversations looking like from the players and from the leaders onto the team?
Well, they have to own it. Obviously, they have to own their play. They got to learn from their play. We got to fix some things if we want to give ourselves a chance to play meaningful basketball in March. That's always been the goal here, is to put ourselves in position to play meaningful basketball in the month of March. And we're in the middle of February right now. February is a tough month in college basketball. A lot of teams are dealing with injuries. A lot of teams are down guys. February is the month that gives you a chance to play meaningful basketball. So they have to own their play. They have to learn from mistakes. They have to own what's happening in these games, and then they got to move on. They got to put it into play in the next game.
So you talk a little bit about February being that hard month. What does development look like in February versus what it looked like in August?
Well, August, you're really trying to, one thing Coach Kennedy emphasizes is really trying to establish habits. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to break bad habits, build positive habits, because the game of basketball is different than a lot of sports. It's not like football where you get a break you don't huddle up after every play. The game's going up and down. So your habits really carry you, as the game's going up and down, as the game, in the flow of the game. So, in August, September, we're trying to establish habits, winning habits that will take over when we come into play. And right now, you're just trying to reinforce those habits. You're trying to make sure that the good habits take over. And unfortunately, this team hasn't. We haven't established our habits as well as we need to, but there's still time. We still got breath in our lungs. We got to keep fighting. We got to keep scratching, clawing. We got to persevere. Adversity is part of sports. Injuries are part of sports, and we just got to persevere and fight it out down the stretch because we've proven, we've beaten Tulsa and South Florida, two of the better teams in the league on the road. We've proven capable. We just have to prove capable more often.
Yeah. Can you go into depth a little bit about what those habits look like, those positive team habits?
Well, let's start with shooting. We got to break some habits. Shot preparation is such a key. Get your left foot down, step into your shot, be prepared to shoot. I tell guys all the time, you got to anticipate when your shots are going to come so that when you catch the ball, you're ready to shoot. And that's been a struggle with this group. And then we got to play off 2 feet in the paint. We got to play stronger. We got to play through contact. We got to finish at the rim. And then, our free throw shooting's been really a whirlwind. We got off to a bad start early in the year. I thought it cost us maybe a couple games early in the year. And then for a long stretch, we were shooting fine. And now the last few games here in conference play, we haven't shot as well at the free throw line, and it's cost us a couple times. So we just got to regroup. It's part of it. It's why coaching's a hard job. It's a challenge. You got to get your guys to perform at a high level, night in, night out, and we got to continue as a staff. We got to persevere. We got to keep these guys in the gym. We got to get in the film room. We got to show them where they're making mistakes, and we got to improve upon those.
Has anybody surprised you this season?
I think a lot of these guys have really stepped up. Evan Chapman being a first-year junior college guy, he's really rebounded the ball well. Better than we expected. I think Dejon Anderson's kind of come alive here late. A lot of times junior college guys, it takes them a little while to make the adjustment. Salim London, as a freshman, has really been thrust into a significant role, and I think he's growing before our eyes. Chance Westry's shown some signs that he's capable of being an all-conference caliber player at this level. He's just got to do it more consistently, and he's a guy that, while he's an older guy, he also, his first 3 years of college, dealt with a lot of injuries. So he's really like a redshirt freshman in a lot of ways. But he's shown some really positive signs along the way. Kyrie Lindsey's had a good year. Daniel Rivera, those guys have done a good job for us this year. Ahmad Robinson, unfortunately, I was hoping he could finish the year strong. He kind of went through his struggles early in conference play, and then he breaks his hand the other night. But overall, this group's done a good job. Good kids, they're working hard. We just haven't gotten over the hump at home, and that's been really disappointing. Just, losing these games at home has been really, really disappointing.
So you talk a little bit about the JUCO growth and going over that hump, but also having players like Salim London, who's a freshman, they're both in a different role as far as coming to this D1 level and a different level. How do you see, what's the difference you see in the JUCO guys versus having a freshman such as Salim London putting in that role?
Well, JUCO guys are just, they're a year or two older, they're a little bit older, so at least they've played in, junior college games. But the adjustment for both is significant, and there's good players. The games are hard. Every possession matters. And at lower levels, that's not always the case. And also, we didn't return one player from last year. So you're trying to incorporate guys that are coming from various, different programs. It's a challenge, but it's the new reality of college athletics, and the coaches that can do it are the coaches that will succeed. The coaches that can't won't succeed. So, we've had to incorporate guys from different levels, different programs, different backgrounds. And, I think that speaks to maybe some of our inconsistencies this year. But hopefully, we can get these guys playing more consistent, playing together. I do think we've played hard this year. I mean, our effort has not been the problem. It's execution. It's stepping up and making the plays that need to be made at the appropriate times in these tight games.
As a coach, what's your philosophy to winning these tight games?
Just making plays. At the end of the day, I tell the guys all the time, players make plays. Players. Basketball, I really believe more than any other sport is really a player's game. And because the game's so up-tempo, things are happening so fast, you got to make winning plays at both ends of the floor. You got to You gotta secure your glass. You gotta rebound. You gotta defend. You gotta take care of the ball, and you gotta step up and you gotta make plays on the offensive end when they present themselves.
Going down to the stretch of the season, tell me one thing that you want this team to continue to build on and really focus on with these last few games coming up.
Well, continue to defend and rebound. We're getting better in that area, but we really have to play better offensively down the stretch. We got to make more perimeter shots. We got to continue. We've done a great job this year of taking care of the basketball. We're leading the nation in turnover percentage. So we've done a great job of taking care of the basketball, but step up, make plays, make critical free throws, make critical shots when they present themselves, finish through contact in the paint. If we do that, we'll find ourselves in a good position here in March.
All right, Coach Cross, thank you so much for joining us on the Inferno podcast. And don't go too far because we'll be talking to our Blazer of the Week, Salim London.
Oh yeah, oh no. Oh yeah, let's roll. Let's roll.
Welcome back, Blazer Nation. We're back with our Blazer of the Week, sponsored by Blazers Mobile. Today we'll be talking with men's basketball, Salim London. Salim, how are we doing today?
I'm doing real good today. Kinda.
Why kinda?
Just because we came off the loss from Tulane, trying to stay positive, trying to stay optimistic.
Before we get into the game a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about where you are right now. What's the biggest thing you've learned this season?
Probably the biggest thing I've learned this season is that there are gonna be peaks and valleys. You just can't get too high or too low. Like, it's a long season. You never know what's gonna happen next. So you just gotta, just keep your head based off anything that goes on.
You're kind of, in the best way possible, living the dream as a freshman. You're coming in here starting as a freshman, coming in here in a big role. What's the biggest difference you would say in your game from when you first got here to where you are right now in the season?
I think that in the beginning of the season, I was kind of like rushing certain things. I'm coming from high school, so in college, players are better, they're bigger, they're stronger. So I just think I had to learn how to like take my time whenever doing certain moves or whenever I'm shooting, just in certain ways.
Was the adjustment difficult?
I wouldn't say it was difficult, but it wasn't easy.
Right.
I'll say that.
Would you say you wanted more time in that developmental role, or are you grateful for the position you're put in right now?
To be honest, I'm grateful for the position that I'm put in right now. They kind of just threw me out there. Mm-hmm. So, I'm real grateful for that.
Did you have a heads up going into that role, or did you kind of just come on campus and you were like, hey, we're in it, no time to like sit back a little bit, we're going straight into it?
I kind of didn't really know.
Yeah.
When we were practicing during the summer, I was playing good, and when the season started, I wasn't playing as much. But, it kind of kept creeping. In one game, they just kind of, just let me go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What do the coaches say about your game right now?
They say a lot of things, but they always try to let me know, you got to keep getting better. You got to keep getting better. And we're going to continue to give you the opportunity to get better, and we're going to continue to give you the opportunity to play. So you just got to keep getting better. That's kind of what their message is.
What have you gotten better on as far as defensively in your game right now?
Defensively, I think I've gotten stronger. I think I've gotten a lot stronger. So I think with getting stronger, I think that helps me guard a lot of different positions because, we're not the biggest team in our conference. Mm-hmm. So I think, getting stronger has kind of, let me guard different players and different sizes.
So let's talk a little bit about your basketball journey. I want to start from when you first started playing. How did you get into the sport of basketball?
My mom told me I've always been a basketball kid. They told me ever since I was in diapers, I was shooting basketballs at the Y. But from what I can remember, I've always just played it, always, ever since I was a little boy.
What was your dream?
Everybody really got the same dream. I want to make it to the league. That was always what I, told my friends or whatever. So, yeah.
When you're talking to your parents right now, what are those conversations like when it's after a loss and you're leaning onto somebody right now?
My parents always try and give me confidence. And they always, they always tell me, usually it's my dad, because he's been through this journey, and he tells me, he tries to stay in my ear, just stay confident. You know, you're going to have peaks, you're going to have valleys. You can only control the controllables. There's a lot of things in this sport that are going to happen that are uncontrollable. So as long as you stay confident and you keep grinding through, you know, you should have some success, you know, things like that.
So correct me if I'm wrong, you wear number 5 in honor of your dad right now.
Right.
Which he's still around, but I want to talk about why you wear number 5 and what it means to him and what it means to you to continue to put that number on every single day.
So it's crazy because I didn't even like the number 5 when I was little. But like during middle school, I was like, I'm gonna try it out. And you know, I don't know, I just liked it, and you know, he wore number 5 his whole life, so I'm just like, okay, I should start wearing number 5 too. And even my little brother who plays basketball, he wears number 5 too. So, I mean, yeah, it's just a family number.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah, that's all it is to it.
And you're originally from Hoover, Alabama, which isn't too far from here. How does it feel continue to play in your home state and almost Birmingham and Hoover in your hometown?
It feels really good. It feels really comfortable just knowing like I have certain people who, you know, kind of know me from this area. And honestly, I feel like it's really beneficial. You know, I might have like a random person stop me and, you know, they might tell me something like, hey, like, good job last game. Or like, I might be in the game and somebody who's sitting down on like the sideline might like say something like, hey, like, shoot the next one. Like, just certain stuff like that.
I want to talk a little bit about the growth in your game. Who is somebody that has continued to push you throughout this journey?
Definitely my dad, my the assistant coaches like Coach Rob. He's my assistant coach. Like, he always stays in my ear. Coach Carter, he always stays in my ear. Definitely those 3 people. Oh, and also my mom too. She doesn't really, you know, give, like, sometimes she tries to put her little input in about like what I should be doing on the court or whatever. But I mean, she also tells me like, stay positive. Like, no matter what happens, just stay positive.
What have you learned from your mom throughout your time playing basketball?
Like just what I've said earlier, stay positive. And also she gives me like some comedic relief. Like, whenever, you know, come off a loss, she gonna like make me laugh, try and take me away from the game, just try and keep me in a good mental state.
What are practices like with Coach Rob being in your ear and telling you to continue to keep going, keep pushing? What do those practices feel like for you as a player to develop more mentally stronger and physically stronger?
I think, you know, practice can be long some days. Practice is day by day, so, you know, it could turn into a grind. And, you know, some days might not be your day. But, you know, I got coaches like Coach Rob. He's there, and he's going to keep me engaged. If I'm having a good practice, if I have a good practice and we got practice the next day, he going to remind me of that practice. He's going to say, look, let's build on that last day. Say if I don't have a good practice, we got to practice the next day, he's going to say something like, look, let's bounce back. Forget about tomorrow. Like, let's bounce back. Let's keep getting better. That's kind of what he does. What
have the older players told you about their journeys that give you hope within your journey and that kind of continues to push you to be a better basketball player?
I think it was one day I didn't really have a good practice, and I was talking to Kai. And Kai is a senior right now, and he was like letting me know, like, look, bro, like, you where you supposed to be at. Like, be grateful and take advantage of the situation, like, for real. And that's kind of one of the things, like, I've remembered. You know, one of the things that he's told me. I've talked to Danny, I've talked to Ahmad about, you know, my role on the team, and they just kind of give me confidence. They, like, even though I'm young and stuff, they still, like, put their trust in me. They still believe in me. So I'm really thankful for that.
Where do you want to be when you're leaving UAB?
I mean, hopefully can play, like, you know, professionally somewhere, or I'm playing for, I mean, a good team, a team that's, I mean, like.
What about in your game? Like, where do you want to be in your game wise?
Where do I want to
UAB?
I think I want to be more like savvy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to have like a higher IQ, like better IQ plays, more winning plays. I'll say that. More winning plays.
Is there somebody on the team whose IQ you look up to currently?
Chance. Not gonna lie, Chance. Just seeing the plays that he makes, like, he might come off a screen, he might hit a roll, he might hit a person, and I'll be like, whoa, like I didn't even see it. Like it almost like it happened so quick. So I kind of just, and me personally, I like to take mental notes. I try and like copy certain people's games in order to make my game better. So, you know, that's honestly somebody who I kind of look up to, and who I try to like take mental notes of what they do and how they play the game. Growing
up, whose game were you looking at and kind of mimicking a little bit the most?
I say that's a real good question. Let me think, because it was a lot of players. I say when I was younger, like my favorite player was James Harden. He was a lefty. I say I will always kind of like try and like dribble like him.
Yeah.
Like whenever I was young, like whenever I was going against people. So I guess I say James Harden.
So let's talk a little bit about this season. So we're on the final stretches of the season right now. What do you think this team needs most from you?
I think they need somebody who's consistent. I think they need somebody who is going to guard the best player or anybody. I think they need me to be solid with the ball, and I also think they need for me to make shots whenever I'm open. Those are the main things.
You think the coaches would say the same thing?
Yeah, I think the coaches would say the same thing.
Yeah. What does the growth look like going into making those shots and continue to stay into the gym?
I think just staying in the gym, trying to work on the right habits whenever I'm in the gym. So quality over quantity, not just shooting a million shots, but actually shooting a million good shots. So with the same shot prep every single time. That's what I think that is.
What does the growth of this team look like for you right now that you've seen since August into right now? What's the process look like growing?
I think just pushing each other every day.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, just pushing each other every day, trying to make each other better every single day. Even though, you know, some players are out, even though practices aren't as bone on bone as usual, it's taking more mental notes. I think just being locked in every day and just trying to get 10% better every single day.
What's the best part of your game?
I think the best part of my game that's also another good question. I feel like the best part of my game right now, like Coach Shoemaker has told me this, but he says is my ability to take in information. It's my ability to be coachable, like to try and catch on to things like quick. I think that's the best part of my game right now.
Is that something you can still grow in?
I do think that's something I can still grow in, because I think there's obviously a lot of things that I still have to learn.
Like what?
Yeah. I just think making certain reads, not being sped up, you know, just certain things like that.
Do you think that comes with your age and like being so young in this role, or is that something that you continue that you think you can grow in even as you get older and as you develop more as an athlete?
I think definitely something that I can continue to grow in as I get older, as I continue to play as an athlete.
What are you most excited about going into the last stretch of the season?
I'm most excited about March, and not to skip over February, because I know we have games in February, and I obviously hope we win enough games to qualify, which I think we should. I think we're more than capable enough to do that. So if we do that, I'm really excited about March, playing in the conference tournament, and with it also being in Birmingham.
So even though you're a younger player and you have a more quieter voice right now, how do you make your presence more known in the locker room and to these older guys?
I think like as the season has gone on, other players on the team, they've seen like my game. I think they have a certain amount of respect for me. So I think, you know, sometimes every now and again, like you have to say something. So I do say something, and I think they always listen. Like we always listen to each other. And also in the heat of the game, you know, you got to communicate. So I think they're more willing to listen to me in anything I have to say.
What's a fun fact about yourself that the Blazer Nation does not know about you?
Okay. I really like watching shows. Like I'm always watching a show. Like the show that I just finished watching was Game of Thrones.
Okay. Are you binge watching shows while you're on the road?
I'm always binge watching shows. On the plane, I'm watching the show. We get to the hotel, watching the show. Like, I'm always watching the show. Like, the show I'm watching right now, I'm watching Dexter. It's a pretty old show. Like, Game of Thrones, I just finished that. That was a pretty old show, kind of, sort of. But, yeah, I'm always watching the show. Always.
Nice. So let's do a little bit of rapid fire. So, when you're before games, are you a music before games or are you sitting in silence?
Always music.
Always music. What are you listening to?
I'm probably listening to R&B.
Favorite artist?
My favorite artist is Brent Faiyaz.
Okay.
If you know who that is.
Yeah? You listen to his new album?
I did.
Are you an introvert or are you an extrovert?
I feel like some people will say I'm an introvert. Also, some people who are closer to me will say I'm an extrovert.
So you
like,
can do a little bit of
weird.
both, depending on. What about on the court? Are you more introverted or are you more extroverted?
At certain times, I think I'm, a little more extroverted. But also at certain times, I think I'm a little more introverted. It's weird. I
It's
don't
whatever.
really know.
You can play
That's what I'm
either
saying.
or.
Like, yeah.
Who's the most competitive on the team?
The most competitive on the team. I think the most competitive on the team is probably, I'd say Danny. I'll say Danny. Yeah.
And one word to describe Blazer Nation right now.
Blazer Nation. Persevering.
Okay, explain.
Yeah. I'll say Blazer Nation is persevering. Because, the season, with us losing so many games at home, but also winning so much on the road. We got 2 road games coming up. I feel like we persevering. We trying to scratch and claw.
And one word to describe yourself when you leave this season.
I'll say smarter. There were a lot of things that I didn't know coming into this season that I know now, which have helped me a lot, and I've learned a lot. So I'd say smarter.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Inferno podcast, Salim. I wish you luck on the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, oh no. Oh yeah, let's roll. Let's roll.
Welcome back to This Week in Blazer Athletics, as always brought to you by Children's of Alabama. Kicking us off this week is a series with baseball versus Cincinnati. On February 20th, UAB women's tennis takes on Kennesaw State at the Hoover Met at 12 o'clock. Also on the 20th, men's tennis is going to be facing South Carolina State at 2 p.m., also at the Hoover Met. UAB women's basketball takes on Tulsa at 6:30 on the 20th, and at Mary Bowers Field, UAB softball begins the Green and Gold Classic. UAB bowling is at the MEAC number 2, and UAB rifle is going to be at Jacksonville State. Also on the 22nd, men's basketball takes on Memphis at 11 o'clock, and men's tennis is going to be at Troy at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us on the Inferno podcast, and as always, stay tuned for new episodes dropping every week.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.